wine pulls, ring toss, drawings, another fundraising game. Before you add any of these, ask yourself, is this adding to the fundraising or is this just adding more complexity? Hey, I'm Dani De La Rosa. After helping with over 400 galas, I have seen a ton of small, medium, and large fundraising streams. In this video, we're going to get into additional fundraising and how to decide if it is worth it for our gala. So we talk additional fundraising all the time with my clients. That's what I'm going to call all of these little things. Wine pulls, ring toss, drawings, all of these smaller things, they are called additional fundraising. So we're discussing them, whether or not my clients are asking me questions about them, or I'm looking at what they did the year before and I'm questioning, some of the additional fundraising. In any case, this is something that gets discussed. And the most important thing I want you to understand about additional fundraising, like any other fundraising streams, but particularly this, is it has to earn its place in your fundraising lineup. So to look through this, the first thing we're going to pull up is the Fundraising Streams Matrix. The Fundraising Streams Matrix explains to us the order of importance of fundraising streams. It's kind of like a checklist too. You want to go through one and make sure they're all pretty good. So the Fundraising Streams Matrix, if we look at it, all arrows point toward our paddle raiser special appeal. Why is that? It is because this is where we have the largest participation. We can get down to a level where everybody can donate, highest amounts of funds raised, the highest ROI, and it's the most exciting, okay? So when you really want an organization to win, sitting there in an audience and just hearing card after card being raised, and then the numbers are just getting higher and higher of how much we're raising together, it is really exciting. In terms of ROI, you could spend 5 hours chasing down a silent auction package that's going to, net you $200 versus spending 5 hours having meetings with some major donors, and you can get some plants and some matches for your paddle raiser that would be thousands of dollars. So it's also the highest ROI. You go over next to the live auction. The ROI is still high. The excitement is still high because it's all live, but funds raised and participation are lower because far less of your audience has the means to buy these live auction packages at their highest price. Then the bottom left, you go down to the silent auction. ROI is much lower on a silent auction. Takes a lot of effort and time to put a silent auction together. The excitement's a lot lower too because it's anonymous. I guess back in the day when we had paper bidding, you might be able to see each other bidding, but in general, it's anonymous. Funds raised can still be pretty high on a silent auction, though, especially if you can open it up, to your entire list. And participation can be pretty high as well. Okay, so those are the other streams. The last one, the bottom right corner, this is the least on everything. This is our additional fundraising. So this is what we're talking about today, is these little fundraising games we add in a program or we have during the cocktail hour. This is the lowest everywhere, lowest ROI, lowest participation, lowest funds raised, lowest excitement, because, it's not in front of everybody and you can't make a ton of money. So when we talk about additional fundraising earning its place, the first consideration here is that we're honoring the Fundraising Streams Matrix, and we are making absolutely positively sure that diagonally right across from this additional fundraising, we are maximizing our paddle raiser special appeal. Okay, we have plants, we have matches, we have an incredible mission story that is happening right before the paddle raiser. We have a professional auctioneer. We want to make sure we are absolutely maximizing that before we move anywhere else. Now, maybe we've decided not to do a live auction for whatever reason, and linked below in the description, actually, we'll put a video for you to learn more about live auctions and if it's worth it for your event or not. And same with a silent auction. For whatever reason, maybe you are or are not having a silent auction. Again, I'll link another video below for you to make that determination. But so then maybe, according to the Fundraising Streams Matrix, it is time for you to focus on the additional fundraising. How do we decide what is the right fit for your event? So first concept to really think about is this ask small, get small. Ask small, get small. So the idea here is if you ask for a small amount of money and you get that small amount of money, you need to be okay with that being their donation. So in other words, if I'm in the cocktail hour and I go and I buy my bottle of wine from the wine pull, I might pat myself on the back and think, yes, I did it. I made my donation. But that $20 I spent, maybe isn't as meaningful of a donation for the organization, but for me, I patted myself on the back. So remember, with your additional fundraising, sometimes that is going to be your donor's donation. So you want to make sure that it feels like a meaningful amount to you. So maybe you want to make it a bigger, better sort of fundraising opportunity, and the buy-in is $50 for it or something like that. But that's the first concept to keep in mind. Ask small, get small. The other thing that I want you to think about with this is just the amount of time, logistics, and team power it takes for additional fundraising. So let's look at a wine wall, for example. A wine wall. Let's say you have 20 bottles and you're going to sell them for $20 each. That is $400, okay? $400 in revenue. But what does it take to put a wine wall on? Well, you got to collect all the bottles. You have to like wrap the bottles or do the little cork thing where you get 20 corks and you number all of them. Essentially you have to get it set up for the whole facilitation of the pulling. You have to have somebody there managing the station. You have to have a way to write down their bidder numbers or find some way to charge them for these $20. Then you have to do something with all the bottles that are left over. You also have to transport the bottles. All of that for $400, is that worth it? Not in my opinion. Whereas if I were the consultant in on this event, I would say, let's add 5 to 10 more bottles to that. Get a board member to donate 1 or 2 to each meeting, or if you're a school audience, you can get a lot of bottles donated. Maybe contact, one of your local wineries or something. But anyway, you want to add some bottles to that, make it 25 or more, and then I would like to auction that off in the live auction as a seller. So there has been no circumstance where I have auctioned off a seller and it didn't far outperform the amount of money it would make on a wine wall. This $400 you could make on a wine wall, I could make you $1,500 or $2,000 for that same amount of money, just because it is now in the live auction. Now, listen, I understand that sometimes we do this additional fundraising because we want people with lower means to have things to bid on and participate on. So maybe the point of the wine wall isn't making more money and putting in the live auction, but I hope you're hearing me that you still want to make sure your additional fundraising is worth the amount of time you're putting in for it, and that the donation your donor will make by engaging in this fundraising activity is actually a meaningful amount of money for your organization. Now, whatever additional fundraising activity you choose, just make sure you keep it super simple. Actually, in our previous video that we're going to link below, we were just talking about why too complex of an idea actually can backfire on you. It is the same for the additional fundraising. So generally speaking, this needs to fit into your larger fundraising strategy. You also don't want to have too many of these activities happening during the cocktail hour, because we really, really, really want to focus everybody on donating during the paddle raiser. That is your most important fundraising stream. That is the place where if we could get most cards in the air and everybody seeing each other donating, that is going to have the most important long-term effect on your fundraising culture and your gala and everything. So if you are going to put additional fundraising in, make sure it earns its place. Make sure, ask small, get small. Make sure it is a large enough amount of money. Make sure it's worth the logistics it's going to take to put together. And don't include more than one in your cocktail hour. Just keep things super simple for your donors. Allow them to focus on the paddle raiser. If this video has been helpful, we're going to link some more for you below. Feel free to subscribe to our newsletter as well, and you'll get more sent to your inbox. And as always, we hope this is your most profitable gala yet.